How can we move beyond the illusion it was love? Because after the end of a toxic relationship with somebody, you can still be convinced that it was love. After the discard from a narcissistic relationship especially, getting over the illusion begins. So here we are, weary, still reeling from the aftermath of the devaluation effects, which is basically also a version of PTSD. Yes, truly. Post-traumatic stress disorder is not just what occurs after the effect of war, but actually any trauma event. And for many, and yes, I can include myself in the many back in the earlier days, before I woke up to what was going on, there will be a part of you left after the discard that still can't quite accept or wants to cast aside the illusion, because the early yarn they spun you lives on inside your head. It creates neural pathways that are affected. So after the end of a toxic relationship with someone, it's not just the habit that you have to get over, but it's actually they permeate your thinking and the way your brain works. So part of deactivating the illusion, and this is where I believe you need to start, because if you don't start here, this is the place where they can either re-enter at a later date, or you will not be able to move on because somehow they are enshrined and held up high as if against them all others can never make you feel that depth of love. And I'm going to say in inverted commas love again, because this isn't love. This is not love. This is trauma bonding. If a relationship has been healthy love between two people, it won't have devaluation and an ending that heralds the discard. Your understanding as well as your experience will not be unfathomable either for you. In the other relationships where people grow in different directions and there's an ending and the early connection is diluted because of that, this is a part sometimes of life. But it's not dank and it's not toxic. Toxicity leaves behind something that doesn't feel quite right, that makes you shudder when recall is experienced. Discard is a version of an ending, yes, but not one that echoes of flagrant discard or care, wherein rendering the other person reeling from disbelief or because of such incongruence to the beginning, or true understood closure, or there's no closure, or one has a sense of somehow being duped. Its flavor is entirely different, and it's definitely not a feeling of peace. It has absolutely no feeling of peace about it. Sometimes when a relationship ends, yes, it can be for very sad reasons and leave you in a state that you need to recover from for a long while, and there can be grief, of course, that takes place. But this kind of relationship leaves you in an entirely different place. It doesn't have that kind of flavor about it. I've heard so many people ask me in coaching sessions, well, what do you think he or she is thinking now? Or what will he or she be doing next? Or shall I do this or that? Or worst of all, will he or she come back? And does he or she still love me? Love? No. Return to gain something from you or to take something? Maybe yes, sadly. Because this relationship will have been transactional. And for them, the transaction will be over. Unless they decide at some later date, there's still something in it that they can take for what they give in an insincere way. I can tell in the heart of that person that they're still invested in the illusion of that relationship. And sometimes even to the point of thinking that it must have been something they did or said. It wasn't. It was always going to come, the discard, that is. Try and remember that narcissists are adept at illusion, and it's part of their hallmark, and they are very, very skilled at this. At the beginning, you represent something that's kind of something they want. It's kind of the whole meeting. Well, the whole meeting between two genuine people is not a farce. It's the meeting of two souls to share eventual growing mutual love and belonging that exists. And this does exist. This is something that exists genuinely between two people. It just doesn't exist in an exchange with people who have zero authenticity and zero true care for those they set out actually to exploit. The thing that narcissists are so predictable and good at is that once you're aware of how they play their game, and it is a game to maintain power and uphold their disguise, in fact, their fragility is so profound because somehow the lights are on with them, but no one's actually at home, and they only really want to burgle yours. So when you begin to see and to become aware, your own radar will awaken, and you won't want to engage with these predatory people because they'll no longer be attracted to you, and you will no longer be attractive to them. This is achieved through work, through your own self-esteem issues, with an experienced coach or therapist. But it also can begin with reading and listening to valuable information that is available. It's a process, so please don't expect it. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen overnight, even though you might really want it to. It happens bit by bit. It's an incremental understanding, but it begins with an awareness, and it's also a choice. It's your choice. And so the work to move beyond the illusion begins, but please try and remember to give yourself that gift.